So a little bit later this morning, I thought with school run issues, I would just delay it a little bit so I can come on properly without any trauma. I think I'm on. Let's give it a second or two to see how we're going. So I have decided that this morning we're going to talk about retinols. We have talked about retinols before, obviously, but it has now been almost 3 months, certainly 2 months since we talked about retinols. So I thought it was completely appropriate that we do that again. So I'm just checking that everything is going according to plan. There is somebody there, so give us some waves, make me feel like I've got you guys. Let's see, do I come up on the doodah? I always like to make sure I can see what's occurring. There we go. Aha. Hi guys, I've got some of you in, fantastic. So I'm going to pop that down there so I can see what's occurring. Like I said, we have talked about retinols before, but I feel like we're kind of going back through things now because we've covered an awful lot. I'm sure I'll think of some things I haven't talked about before. But what's happened is the lives we've done over the last couple of months have brought quite a few new people in. And so I don't think there's any harm. Yes, they could go and search for an old live and watch it, but I think it's always better to be sort of fresh and start again with these things. If you don't need to know about retinols, then that's absolutely fine. You can get on with your day. So I have got my coffee on. We're okay. Coffee number 2 now, so because it's a little bit later. And we're going to go through what retinols are. We're going to go through the actual products that we use, what to look for if you don't use a Lumiere. Obviously, I think it's fantastic and the best, and you really should use it. But if you don't, if you don't yet use one and you're looking for one, there are some really key things that you should be looking for. And the secret is don't look at the price. That's not what we're concerned about. There's some really key things so you at least get your money's worth. So I hope everybody's been okay and you've had a nice weekend. Not so nice weather-wise, is it? Where did that beautiful sunshine go? I couldn't even get out in the garden yesterday, which was disappointing. But hopefully we're going to get some better weather towards the end of this week, please. I think this is painful enough, isn't it? Not being able to do very much, but without having the weather to get outside, I think it makes it that much harder, doesn't it? I don't know if you guys saw the live on Saturday. It was very exciting. The lovely Claire from Wow Fusion, Wow Facial, came to talk to us. So Wow Fusion is a treatment that I trained in literally days before lockdown and haven't yet been able to start practicing, which is enormously frustrating. I have all the kit. I just can't do it to anybody yet because I can't see you. So, but there will be some home treatments. In fact, I need to talk to Claire about this today. If you joined us, you might have seen this. This is a Wow face mask. These can be used either after a Wow treatment or you can use these as a standalone. I will be selling these for, I believe, $19.99 as soon as I can get them in. There's a shipment just arrived that had to come by sea instead of air because of cost due to coronavirus. And when we spoke with Claire on Saturday, these were sitting in a container in Southampton Dock. So I'm hoping they will arrive very soon. And as soon as I've got them, I'm going to find out a little bit more about them. But they are fantastic from what I understand. And we will get these out if people want them. So stand by for that. We'll be doing a live on that as soon as I've got them in the clinic. So Wow it's a needling treatment with some amazing mesotherapy products, but there's very little downtime. There's far less need to use a local anaesthetic because it is much more comfortable than most needling, and but the results are proving to be quite spectacular. So I'm very excited to get started with that. But in the meantime, like I said, we've done a lot of lives, we've talked about a lot of things, but there's a lot of new people now in the group and on the page. So I thought I would jump in and go back through some of the things we started when we went to our daily, gosh, I can't believe I was doing this every day in March. So we've not talked specifically about retinols since the end of March, I think. So we're going to do that today. Anybody has any questions as we go, please do flag them up. I've got comments. I should be able to see comments on the screen and I can certainly see them on my phone as well. I've got both running just to make sure. So what is a retinol? First of all, it is a serum, a formulation with a retinol based product, and we'll come to the different types of retinol in a bit. And it is one of the most important anti-aging ingredients in your skincare routine. You must have a sunscreen if you're using a retinol, because it does make your skin more sensitive to UV light. In fact, I need my little list here, don't I? Because I always think of things I need to tell you. So if you wanted to add a retinol into your routine, how do you do that? What should you go for? And that's where you would really need to talk to me, because you need to know the right strength to start with. Retinol reaction is a real thing, and it's something that I work very hard to make sure doesn't happen with you. But basically, retinol is derived from vitamin A. Vitamin A is a key ingredient in anti-aging. Excuse me. In the 1980s, the Dr. Kligman or Klingon or something, I can't remember. If anybody's interested, I'll find out for you. But it was in the 1980s, vitamin A or retinol was being used quite widely for acne treatments, very successfully, and still is. Retinol is one of our key products for clients with long-term acne. It's a very, very useful ingredient. And around a similar time, because of this, they realised how important the ingredient also was for anti-aging. So it has then since then been developed into a more anti-aging product. So I have got a few notes because there is a bit of science, a bit of tech, and I want to make sure I give you the right information, because when I'm faced with a camera, I forget words and things. But basically, retinol actively works within the skin. It works within the nucleus of your cells to have an effect on DNA. There is a biological effect. This isn't a their product. It's not glycerin that just makes your skin feel a bit smoother and plumper. This is an active ingredient that works within the nucleus of the cells to make changes on the DNA to get biological effects. So those biological effects might be sort of cell proliferation, so growth of new cells in the epidermis, so new cell production. So it increases your skin cell turnover. Retinol is occasionally wrongly described as an exfoliant. It isn't, but it does increase skin cell turnover. So it increases the number of cells and the efficiency in the way that the cells are being produced. So that can encourage more cells to shed, but it's doing it in a different way. We are not actively exfoliating with retinol. That's what your lactic acid, salicylic acids are for. That is to they are to break down the protein bonds between cells so they can shed off. Retinol is for cell proliferation, to develop more cells. It encourages the skin to stimulate and develop more blood cells, so you get a better sort of capillary system throughout the skin to carry nutrients and blood throughout the skin surface. It also stimulates production of collagen in the cells. This is an ingredient that does an awful lot of things within your skin. So you actually increase use of collagen, increase development of collagen when you use a retinol. It's also a very powerful antioxidant. It actually helps protect DNA within the cells from UV and free radical damage, so that the cells are protected. If you use retinol at night and vitamin C during the day, you support that function and you get really, really powerful antioxidant protection within the skin. So vitamin C and retinol go very, very well together to give you that kind of protective effect on your skin. And free radical damage, that sort of damage, that UV damage, is what causes most of the aging in your skin. So to have those two ingredients, your vitamin C during the day and your vitamin A at night, will give you a huge amount of protection in your skin. So as I said, retinol is a very powerful and active ingredient. It's actually the retinoic acid that causes the results. So how do we get that? So that you will see all sorts of different names and words on products that claim to be retinols. The further away that ingredient is from retinoic acid, the harder the body has to work to extract that retinoic acid and the weaker the effect will be. So what you also need is a stable version of retinol to be able to use it in a product. As with vitamin C, vitamin A does oxidize quite easily. It must be in an opaque container. It must be protected from the air. So these are great because they're sealed and it only releases when you press the button. And in a similar way to the vitamin C, if you know what we do with the vitamin C, it needs to be protected. Eventually it will oxidize and then it's no good. This lasts longer than your vitamin C. Vitamin C oxidizes very, very quickly and it's delivered in a different way. But the further away from that retinol that you go, there's different combinations of retinol palmitate. I can't think what they all are now. I've written another one. Your retinol palmitate is one that you'll see a lot of, and there are others as well. And so those combinations take you further and further away from retinoic acid. So all of the products that we use have retinol. The reason I'm looking is I have written this down. Excuse me. Excuse my scrawl. Can you see all that? There we go. So retinol palmitate is the furthest away. Retinol is the stable form that we use in all of our products. The body breaks it down to retinaldehyde, and retinoic acid is the furthest. That's the ingredient that we need to be used. I've just realised I've still got pen marks. We did an escape room with the kids last night. We've got a boxed escape room to do at home, and one of the things I had to draw on my hand for, and it's all still there. It hasn't come off yet. Look at that. Anyway, so retinol palmitate and other combinations of retinol are further away from retinoic acid. So the closer you can get to retinoic acid, so retinol is what you're looking for, will give you the percentage that you need to have an effect on your skin. So it is quite technical. There is a lot of science behind it, and I'm not going to do any more than that on that, because you don't need to know any more. If anybody wants any more detail, I'm sure I can ping you some stuff across. But the key thing now is how to use it properly. It is a potentially powerful ingredient. It has the potential to cause a retinol reaction. And so what we need to do is make sure that doesn't happen, or if it does, how to manage that. I am not going to send you home with no other prep to your skin with a 1% retinol, I don't know if you can even see that, and expect you to be okay to use that and crack on. That isn't the way I work. I'm not even going to send you home if we don't do anything else with a 0.5. I haven't got a 0.25 open because we use here, the ones I've got open at home are 0.5 and 1%. Most of you, if you have never used a retinol, or if your skin is not prepped to do it, I would start everybody on a 0.25%. You would probably only use one pack of that before I would put you up to the next level. The younger your skin is, the lower percentage I'm going to use, unless you're suffering from something like severe acne, where I might put you up to a higher one, even if you were in your sort of late 20s, something like that, or even younger. Very few people go on to 1% until their skins are sort of over 50, severe lines and wrinkles, or you are very well prepared, having used other retinols before that. So basically, the trick is to start low and go slow. So we do have retinol instructions, which I can send out. In fact, I'll attach the file. I'll leave myself a note, attach the file onto this so you can see how to use it. If I don't write it down, I will forget. So I'll attach that retinol file, so if you want to know how to use a retinol. So what I would do, say I started you on a 0.25%, you would start that twice a week on clean skin at night. So you would cleanse the skin, and if you were using bright and clear exfoliating liquid, you would use that next, and then the first serum that would go on would be your 0.25 retinol. If now, oh no, we'll come to that in a second actually. If you were using other serums like your Ultimate Boost serum, that's still very important to put with it, so you'd put that on after it, and that will help support the action of your retinol. And depending on what your skin type is and what else we have prescribed for you, you might be using a moisturiser, which again really supports the use of that retinol within the skin. And and then any eye products and things like that. So you would use it in that order. So that 0.25% retinol you would use twice a week for the first 2 or 3 weeks. And if your skin is starting to, if it feels fine, you might feel a bit of tingling when it goes on, but if generally speaking your skin feels fine, you would then go up to 3 times a week after that first couple of weeks. I say 2 to 3 times a week. Then, you know, most people would probably manage that sort of maybe every third day to start with. And then every couple of weeks you're going to increase it another night. So it can take 6 to 8 weeks to start getting you to sort of 5 to 7 nights a week. Ideally, we would have you using this every night. Some people alternate it with the AHA serum. Eventually, when your skin is really toughened up and we can really do this for you, you would be using the AHA serum and the retinol to really get the cell proliferation and the exfoliating action of the AHA. So everybody is different and we have to build everybody up slightly differently as well. So we would start you with 0.25. You can usually ramp that up fairly quickly. So probably within sort of 4 to 6 weeks, probably you're going to be using that every night. And then once that one is finished, I would expect this to last up to 3 months. So it, you know, they do last quite well. Then we would probably then put you up onto a 0.5%. Most of you will stay there. I tend to only use a 0.5%. You will probably stay at that point for a while. But when you go up from a 0.25 to a 0.5, you start that process again. You don't go from every night 0.25 to every night 0.5. You start with that 2 to 3 nights a week again and gradually build back up. So with each one, and then your 1%, if you were going on to that, you would probably go 0.25% for one tube, 0.5% with that build up, and then your 0.1%. Again, you start 2 to 3 nights a week and build up. And then I usually say to people, use it 5 to 7 nights a week, unless you're using it alongside an AHA. And then there's a slightly different increase up to getting you to every night. With that, it's probably going to be a bit slower. So these do last quite well. And I would expect, like I said, to be getting, you know, probably 3 months out of this. In the early days, the first couple might even last 4 months because you're only going to be using them a couple of times a week to start with. As with all of the serums, you only need 1 pump of this. It's very concentrated, 1 pump on the hand, dabbed all over the face and then rubbed in, and you don't use it in this bit. That is really important. You don't put any of these retinols, that one's just ultimate boost, but you don't put the retinols within what we call the periorbital rim. The skin here is much more delicate. So you want to use the, if you need an eye cream, most of us do. We also have the retinol eye gel. So this is, I don't know if the light's terrible here. Hold on, can I get so you can see it? Just. So the retinol eye gel is a 0.1%. So it is a much lower percentage. The skin around the eyes is far more delicate. You're not going to be hammering that with a 0.25 or above. You're going to be using the retinol eye gel, which is designed more for that delicate area. So for both eyes, I'll show you how much you're going to use. You're going to use sort of a grain of rice size. So that's quite a big grain of rice size on your ring fingers. Okay, I'm not doing anything really. On your ring fingers, because you're not going to press as hard with that. If you use that one, it's kind of, you drag a bit and that's a stronger finger. So you would put it on that. I'm not going to do it because it's daytime. We never use retinol during the day. It is makes your skin very sensitive to UV light. You will do it at night and then wash it off in the morning. But that is enough for both eyes. You would do that. You would dab it along underneath here and underneath here and across onto where we get our crow's feet, and then you would just gently massage that in until it's largely gone. It doesn't have to completely disappear. If you're using a Lumen Eye as well, which is your hydrating eye serum, that would go on afterwards, and that one you do leave a little bit damp as well. So this one is the first one to go on clean skin, so that's your eye one. So the order you do these products in is very important. How you build up to those are very important. And how you continue with those and then go up through the stages is also quite important. So if you weren't using a Lumia, the things you have to look for is an opaque bottle. You would still start slowly with it. And obviously I can't really recommend other brands because I don't use them. I know that there's a lot of cosmetic brands out there that use retinol. I would be very cautious. I don't know what results you're going to get with those. The cheaper it is, the fewer supporting ingredients it's going to have. One of the key things that you need to have as part of your retinol to reduce the risk of getting a retinol reaction, and I'll tell you what that is shortly. Could you just excuse me 2 seconds? Hold on, I just need to, I'm really sorry to interrupt you here, hold on. I'm so sorry, that was a really rubbish thing, but somebody was at my door and I had to go and see to them. Where did we get to? Oh, and breathe. Microencapsulated retinol and supporting ingredients. So cheap retinols aren't going to have the same quality of ingredients. Oh, I ran there, I'm out of breath now. They're not going to have the microencapsulation of the retinol. Microencapsulation is really, really important, okay? Because what that means is it's ineffective. It's in little tiny bubbles in the product, so that helps preserve it. It reduces the need for it reduces our need for nasty preservatives that we don't use, these sort of methyl parabens, that kind of thing. It keeps it fresh in those little bubbles, and as it goes onto the skin, it is drip fed. If you imagine, sorry, I'm still out of breath. I'm so unfit. Oh my god. If you imagine you've got a really dry plant pot and you dump water on it, what happens? It kind of sort of floats, doesn't it? And it doesn't go into the soil straight away. And what happens? It kind of all dumps in at the same time, and the soil can't cope with it. But if you use a drip feeding approach, it slowly goes in, it hydrates normally, and things like that. And it's a similar principle with microencapsulated products. You don't just dump it all on the skin where half of it's going to run off and the rest of it is all there in one go. It slowly drip feeds. Those little micro bubbles break down overnight on your skin to slowly drip feed that product into your skin. And that reduces the chance of a retinol reaction. And as a result, you get more of the product absorbed into the skin that can be used. And as I said, you reduce the chance of a retinol reaction, which I'll go through and I'll tell you what that is in a minute. You must use your sunscreen during the day, and you must clean it off your skin in the morning. It is really important that if you've used a retinol at night, that your skin is fully cleansed in the morning. You use whatever other serums you're going to use, and then you put your sunscreen on after that. That is really important. We don't recommend retinols if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. A lot of that is down to the fact that there's no research done on that. There never will be any research done on that. There is no evidence that it causes problems, but that's because we don't know. So as always, if you're planning to become pregnant or breastfeeding, we don't use those real actives. We don't use salicylic acid or retinols in those cases. So what's a retinol reaction? Okay, so a retinol reaction is the fact that this is a very active product, a very active ingredient, and it can cause redness, inflammation. It can cause like a peeling effect as well. So I'm going to give you a story in a minute of somebody, and I'll show you another product that we use with retinols in. So that retinol reaction, what I say to people is when you are starting to use that product a couple of times a week, when you go up to say 3 or 4 times a week, when you put it on, I say you'll know if you've used too much, because your skin you'll be like, it'll feel tingly, it might go red, it can feel a bit sore. And so all I say then is step back to the amount you were using before. So don't use it for a couple of nights, and then go back to what you were using before, and then try again and go up another level. And then try again. So basically you go back to that routine and try again. And your skin will tell you when it's had enough, and you can go through that. You just have to be slow. People who try to rush that tend to be the ones that get the retinol reaction. I've done it myself. I ended up peeling all around my forehead, around my eyes. Diane had a good laugh at me. Diane's my business development manager. She had a good laugh at me because she's like, you've basically given yourself a peel with retinol. Retinol, we do have a vitamin A layer that we use within our peels as well. So it is one that we would use. So you can overdo it. And so it's about just stepping back. This is our other retinol product, our Neck and Deck. I did a whole live on this a few weeks ago. It's an amazing product. It is designed, as you'd think, for this bit. So what we say is what was your neck to nipples, I think it is. So you literally just use it on this bit. This part of your skin is much, much more delicate than this. It's more prone to burning, it's more prone to pigmentation, and it's more prone to respond strongly to the ingredients. So this is a retinol-based product. So as with any other retinol-based product, you only use it at night and you build up to it. Now, one of my lovely ladies perhaps missed part of that live and ordered the product and was using it twice a day, every day from the day she got it. And I got a picture of her skin blaze. She'd basically given herself a peel. I said it was going to look fabulous later, but you really need to stop using it for a while. And I sent her some lovely products to soothe it all and things. And actually, this is why I now send out my own instructions for retinol, even though there are instructions in the box, but I always email you your own instructions with a step-by-step how to use it, because it's very easy to overdo it. And for the first few nights, it won't feel like you are. And suddenly on night 5 or 6, you'll think, oh, that's a bit much. And you'll end up giving yourself a peel, or it will feel really unpleasant. People who have really overdone it, you can end up needing to have sort of steroid creams and things like that. And we don't want to do that. I've never had to do that with one of mine, but it does happen if you really overdo it. I do know some people who will remain nameless who are clinical, who will intentionally give themselves a peel with retinol. I do not advise that. We have fabulous peels in the clinic, but the point is it's a very active product. This is great. This is designed to keep you hydrated, but it's designed for this much, much more delicate skin. So if you're concerned about your neck or the front of your chest, these bits around here, it's very good to help with pigmentation and all those kind of things. So that's our other retinol products. So we've got 3. We've got the retinol serums, and there's 3 strengths of those, 0.25%, and that's 0.25% retinol, 0.25, 0.5, and 1%. I would never start anybody on 1%. We've got the eye cream, the eye gel. You can also use that around the lip line as well, I discovered recently, and somebody asked me about lips. So if you're concerned about what we call smoker's lines, for most of it, you can actually use your normal skin one. But for the much more delicate skin right along the edge, give that a go. And then your Neck and Deck. So that's your 3 products, your 3 different retinol products that you would use. But I said, please use them with my support and my advice, because it is easy to overdo it. Quite often what I will do is start somebody on basic skincare first. Let's get your routine in. Let's make sure that you've got the right cleanser, the right serum, the right sunscreen, right night moisturizer in first. You've got an exfoliant in, like a Bright and Clear or something like that. Get all that in first. Get your routine nailed down, and then we'll introduce that. And the other thing that I say a lot, and you will hear me say this isn't magic. One of the things, that it's really important to remember is you will start to see results with retinol within about 6 to 8 weeks. So your first bottle of retinol is effectively preparing your skin for the results you're going to get from it. Please don't believe marketing hype when you see 7 days of collagen, 7 years of collagen replaced in 7 days, I've seen recently. It takes 3 months to stimulate collagen production. Just because they've managed that in a Petri dish, in a lab, doesn't mean that's going to work in your skin. And it's really important to bear that in mind. These things take time to work within your skin. They're not magic. Yeah, you might start to see some results because there's sodium hyaluronate in there, so your hyaluronic acid. You're going to be starting to stimulate your skin cells, so you might start to see some results. But what we're looking for, the real anti-aging effect, the collagen stimulation, reducing pigment and all those kind of things, that first retinol is your prep. That's getting your skin used to it. And once you get onto your second one, that's when you're really starting to see the difference. I've always been really slack with my nighttime routine, which meant I wasn't getting enough retinol. And as a result, I never managed to keep on top of my crow's feet. I've started using them probably only 2 or 3 nights a week, but suddenly, since doing my lives has made me more conscious of doing this, And I've noticed a huge difference, I don't know if you can see around my stupid hair, in my crow's feet. They're nowhere near as deep as they were. And that's because I've been using retinols more frequently, and I've got a better nighttime routine in. And here as well, I did go through quite a long time of having injectables to help with wrinkles. Obviously, I don't do them myself. I've not done that now for over 2 years, and yet I don't feel the need to. I used to need them quite, I had quite deep static lines, but I don't have that anymore because of the products and the treatments that we do. So yes, if I raise my eyebrows, I've got creases, but that's kind of normal. But what I don't have anymore is the deep static lines that cause people, stress. And I've got on top of, well, they're called smoker's lines, whether you smoke or not. I don't. Shush, shush, shh. Sorry, you can hear people knocking next door. Shush, 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 shush. You can come and say hello to everybody in a minute, Ted. I don't have that anymore, and that is down to getting a better nighttime routine in place and making sure that I'm doing it a bit more routinely. It does make a difference, but you have to do it regularly and you have to do it consistently. This is not going to change overnight. When people say to me, "Oh, I'll just try this product," don't waste your money. If you're going to do this, commit to it and do it properly. Don't do it half-assed. It might be that you've got other products you want to use up and you want to add one of these to it. That's fine, but you must have a proper, plan for your skin. Otherwise, what you're doing is throwing money at things that you're going to use for a bit and think, well, I haven't seen very much in this first 2 weeks, and therefore it's not doing anything. That's not the case. Use me to support you through that process, and commit to it for at least 6 to 12 months. That's where you're going to see your changes. That first month, we're going to hopefully reduce breakouts, reduce redness, get some hydration in your skin, get your skin feeling a bit cleaner and brighter and glowing. That's what you're going to get in the short term. Then from the 3 to 6 month point, you're going to start noticing anti-aging changes. And within 12 months, you're going to really see differences in your skin. And that is even if we are just using home care products, so long as they're being used properly. Like I said, they're not magic. They are scientific. They are very clinical. They have active ingredients, but you need to actually stick with it to get the results. Like I said, trying one product. If you're only going to have one product, have a sunscreen. Get a good quality physical sunscreen, and that'll, if it's only one product, that's the one to use. Because I can't recommend not doing a proper routine, because you're going to be disappointed. You're not going to get the results. And I said, that being said, I've had some sort of short notice results on people who've only been going 2 or 3 weeks. But again, that's things like getting on top of breakouts and sort of quashing the worst of the rosacea, so we can then start putting a skincare routine in place. So that's what I aim to do during our skin consultations. So even on a Zoom call, sort of face-to-face like this, we can put quite a lot in place to really get you started on that and get and start getting you some results. So when we can open, and I'm going to be able to do peels and needling and the fantastic Wow Fusion that I can't wait to get my hands on and get treating people with, we've already got your skin improving, and we've sorted out your protective layer, we've got your sunscreen routine in place, and all of those things that are really, really important, we've already done. So that's what the consultations are for. On Saturday, hopefully of this week, we're going to be doing another joint live. It's very exciting. I haven't done one like this before. We've got 3 lovely people who have agreed to come live for me. One of them was watching earlier on, I'm not sure if she is now, who are going to come and talk to you about their experiences with Illumia, whether it's just products or products and treatments. And one of them is, well, 2 of them have been using it for quite a long time, one of them less so, but has had really quite dramatic results. So they've all agreed we're going to have an online live chat on Saturday, hopefully Saturday morning, and I'm going to nail down those details with those 3 shortly. So that's what we're going to do next week. I'm going to repeat this live on the business page later in the week, so probably Wednesday, because I've got a very different audience across on the business page, and I might even do it again on Instagram, because I haven't done it yet. I keep saying I'm going to do Instagram and I haven't. So we might just stick with Retinols this week as our lives, And so do come and support me on those. So I might do Instagram tomorrow and business page on Wednesday, and then back in here on Saturday for that live with my lovely clients who have agreed to come and chat with us. So if anybody has been using products and is happy to jot a few words down that I can use as testimonials on that day as well, that would be fantastic. So if you're watching and you use the products and you like them, I know some of you who are watching, I have recently asked for testimonials, so I can just use that and that'll be great. But if you're unsure and you're not, you're new to the products or you haven't used them yet, Saturday could be a really great one for you to speak to real people, to see real people who are using the products and the sort of results that they've had. So it's not just me telling you that, it's them telling you as well. So thank you for joining me. I've had quite a few of you throughout today, so that's lovely. And I apologise for having to disappear halfway through. We've had a bit of a clear out and I've got loads of things on Facebook Marketplace. So that was a lady coming to collect something this morning. So I'm sorry I had to abandon you there. But thank you for your patience. Anybody interested in retinols, just give me a shout and I can help you with that. And hopefully we're going to have these for sale. I can post these out because they're nice and easy to post. And we'll get some instructions to go with those as well. I suspect Claire has already thought of all of that. But I'll do a live on that to tell you how fabulous they are. If you want to know more about WOW, drop onto the one I did. I've posted it in the group, but we did it live on the page on Saturday. Amazing stuff. I've got people saying, go and do Instagram. I know, I need to. I know. So have a lovely day. Keep your fingers crossed with the sun, but wear your sunscreen anyway. It doesn't matter that the sun's not out. You must have your sunscreen on. And I will see you again on a platform at some point later on in the week. Thank you for joining me, you lovely lot, and I will speak to you later. Bye.